Hello and welcome again. You're watching News9 with me, Sakshi Singh Litoria. In fact, we are going straight away to Ahmedabad. We are picking up the live visuals of Prime Minister Modi holding that very crucial talks and a meeting to speak about what exactly went wrong with regards to that AI-171 with 242 people on board, where 241 unfortunately lost their lives because of the accident. What was the reason? What's the intensity of the damage that has been caused post the crash that transpired yesterday in the afternoon? Prime Minister, remember, today earlier also went to the crash site at the BJ Medical College to take cognizance of the situation, to learn the intensity of the damage as well. How the buildings turned completely black because of the smoke. Prime Minister also met those who are injured at the moment, are seeking the treatment at the civil hospital in Ahmedabad. He also met with the lone survivor of the plane crash. Yesterday, we also saw Union Home Minister Amit Shah in the city taking cognizance and assuring full kind of assistance in the rescue operations. And at the moment, we are looking at Prime Minister also holding a very crucial meeting and talks to understand the situation better. Aviation expert and senior scientist of aerospace, retired Group Captain V. Jha joining us on the broadcast. Thank you so much for speaking to News9, joining us here for the chat. What could be blamed behind this crash, sir, that has taken so many lives? We have been calling it the darkest chapter in the history of aviation.
Sakshi, very good morning to you. And it has been the saddest day of the accidents here in the nation. This is so unfortunate because everyone except one have perished in the crash, as it is understood till now. And yesterday, despite not trying to show anything, we couldn't avoid, most of us, our eyes getting moist. That is the type of sadness that is in everyone's heart here in India. Everyone, my condolences with all the families who have lost their near and dears. Now, coming back to your question. Look, we will avoid any speculations, but then there are two clips of video, one of which is showing the takeoff roll of the aircraft in question, and also takeoff thereafter, stopping its further ascent and then starting to descend down to the crash. That is one video clip, and another video clip which is just before the crash, few seconds before the crash. These two give us a lot of indications. It seems the cause of crash is mainly due to loss of thrust of the engines. And mind my word, engines. It seldom, very rarely it so happens that both engine dwindle down or stop working in the way. Surely the engines have not stopped totally, because we can see the flight to some extent is under control, but coming down gradually, slowly. So engine was there, some amount of power was there, but that power was insufficient to keep the aircraft airborne. So that is why pilot has tried his best, as we can see in those clips, to keep the aircraft maybe wings level with a slight nose up, as it is at the time of landing. That is the type of pattern attitude of the aircraft that we are seeing. So it makes it evidently clear. We don't have to speculate. It is visible here that the pilot was in control of the aircraft. Control systems were working normally. Only thing is, thrust was not there. So despite his effort, aircraft was coming down. That attitude of the aircraft of landing type with the landing gear still down shows that pilots was possibly trying to find a small patch of the land where it would have been smooth, or a surface would have been there without hindrance, without obstacles, where he could have crash landed. Had he been able to do so, many of the life would have been lost. Now, this individual who is telling you that the emergency door, flew off, there are a few things that usually we do when the crash is going to be inevitable. Pilot often initiates ejecting of those doors and deploying those slide chutes. That happens, but that is only after aircraft has touched down the ground. Then that is the action that is usually being done. But that was not the case here. Just before touching the ground, aircraft had banged onto the hostel building, and that was the starting point where the wing would have been sheared, the aircraft would have been broken, and fire, a ball of fire, you have seen, that would have been initiated then and there itself. Also, what happens when we see the fire? That fire is usually outside the aircraft because a lot of fuels are there in the wings. Wings are sheared off first, so that is the fire when the fireball you see. But the cockpit inside cabin, it may still not be there on the fire. There are a lot of smokes which come in that. That is the time when if someone is able to jump out, they should be able to do so. This particular passenger who was on seat 11A, that happens to be next to the emergency door. He was lucky that he could manage his open his strap, because remember, immediately after takeoff, that is the time when everyone is strapped. So he could release his lock of the strap and could jump out, or he was thrown out of the aircraft. Very lucky, very lucky. He must thank God for what has happened. So these are the few things which are visible. I must also tell you that the aircraft must have been serviceable. That is how it came from Delhi to Ahmedabad airport. Pilot wouldn't have noticed anything wrong with the engine thrust or any other control system. That is why it could land normally at Ahmedabad airport. And then during the takeoff, further takeoff, there are chains of events. There are chains of action usually we carry. We carry one checklist, that what are the tests or the inspections to be done. When we start the engine, when the pilot starts the engine, the first officer, he has a checklist in his hand. He continues reading like a student. So and so instrument, so and so instrument. Every day is about 50 plus instruments which has to be checked before start of the engine. That is done. Engine starts. Then pilot goes, taxis the aircraft to just before entering the runway. You also must have traveled, you must have observed that before the takeoff, aircraft is at still for nearly a minute or two. That is the time when again co-pilot reads out all the checklist with both engine running, with all systems of the aircraft on. All those parameters are checked as a normal. Then only pilot seeks the permission from the air traffic control to enter runway for takeoff. After he is cleared, he comes onto the runway. Again, you must have observed. First, the aircraft is under the brake, engine starts, and then engine with the engine running at a very high RPM. For some moments, aircraft is still before that is the time when co-pilot and the pilot, they check vital few parameters with the engine running at a high RPM, and then after they find all these are normal, he releases the brake and the aircraft starts rolling onto the takeoff roll. Uh, so all these are the normal events for every takeoff that they do. Unfortunately, in this case, possibly engine tried malfunctioning or thrust was possibly lost much later during the takeoff roll, after which pilot had possibly no option but to take off and go for the crash landing wherever it is possible, because aircraft couldn't sustain flight. So it is unfortunate, very unfortunate. I'm sure people from all expertise of the aviation will come here in this case. People from Boeing 787 fleet will also come for the inspection, especially the system engineers who have designed the engine system, the fuel system going to the engine, and all those other things. What is going to the engine? What made both engines to lose thrust simultaneously? That is the question everyone will have to answer. There could be more things, but I will not try to speculate at this stage. After the CVR, cockpit voice recorder, is found out, possibly something more may emerge, that what had transpired between the two pilots. was there something else visible? They would have spoken it out on the CVR data when the CVR rolls out, when it speaks out. That will also come into the force. So a lot of things will come to force, but the black box